So we're live now for the millions, but we're gonna start the recording, Dan. I'm hitting the button right now.
Hail and well met, my fellow Hearthstone players, and welcome to HearthCoach, the podcast that can help you be legendary. I'm your host, Dan, and this is the other host, Fred.
Hello, everybody.
He is a player of Legend Ranked, and I have convinced him to coach me, record it in podcast form, and put it out there so as to hopefully help some more of you make it to Legend also. Oh, right, man, it feels like I've been doing this for like 4 years.
Happy, happy anniversary, Dan.
Happy anniversary, buddy. Wow, can you believe it?
I
208. We haven't missed a week.
Whew.
It's come close. But we've gotten it done, friend. Congratulations. Thank you for doing this with me and answering that email oh so long ago.
I know. Yeah, I know, right? It's like one of those things that you never know. But if you take a chance, things can work out, and you've been doing it for 4 years now.
Huh? Yeah. I think our guests might know a little something about sometimes you just got to take a shot at it and it'll work out.
That's right. Should we introduce our guest?
Why not? We're here. We're live. Miss Cora, thank you for... I'm calling it a tradition now that you're coming on with our anniversary shows. How are we doing on this Sunday afternoon, early evening?
I'm doing great. I just got back from Target. The Royal Rumble's on tonight. Couldn't be better, guys. I'm happy to be back. It's crazy to think that it's been 4 years already, and I can't even remember how many times I've been on the show, but it's always a lot of fun, and I'm happy to help you celebrate.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, I would have to go back and look. You're probably by now the champion of appearances because you've been on the show quite a bit of times. So appreciate that.
Yeah, probably about four or five times now.
Yeah.
It's just wild.
One of our first guests, if not our first, I hadn't gone back to look, but one of the very first guests we ever had on the show playing, it was that Secret Paladin.
Yep.
Oh.
Yes.
For a specialty back in 2015.
When she made, you were kind of trying to break into it, and I remember the Secret Paladin was a thing, and well, you were in the podcasting world already, right? By then.
Yep. You were doing Coin Concede then.
Yeah, Coin Concede's been on now for several years as well. Although we don't have a perfect record of hitting every week like you guys do. And I haven't been a regular on that show in quite a while. But yeah, it was very early on in my foray into podcasting and competitive Hearthstone in general. And it's just a completely different world now.
Yeah.
Lots changed.
Yeah.
And to the point I was like making earlier, I took a shot and reached out to Fred to start this podcast, and Cora here said, "Well, let me take a shot at this contest about so you can cast." Is that what it was called?
So you think you can cast?
So you think you can cast, and some schooling, and here we are now. I guess you could say you're a full-time caster and whatnot, or.
Yeah. So I graduated from college now about 2 years ago, and ever since then, I've been working full-time casting Hearthstone. It's been getting better every year, which I'm very thankful for. And it certainly helps that I have the support of my family. I still do, live with my parents. I'm only 23 years old, but I'm starting to build up a little nest egg, pay off college, save for, a house someday, and just sort of figure out where my life's going to go.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. And enjoy it while you got it.
So did you complete undergrad? Is that?
I did. I had a bachelor's in broadcast communication.
Oh, that makes sense. And did you ever think about graduate or more studies? Or
I did.
Okay.
It wasn't something that I had in the plan, but it was something that, I wasn't opposed to. And even still, I'm not opposed to going back if I have to. If I end up getting out of esports and moving into more traditional broadcasting, and if they want to, help me get my master's degree, I wouldn't say no.
Is that where it would come into play on a more traditional setting?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Not, I would think, necessary in esports. A lot of people don't even have degrees. Honestly, it's a very modern style of uh, job, I would say.
Yes. Well, it's good to be kind of early into it, so you know what it looks like and what it feels like, and then you can decide, is this it for long
Hmm.
term, or do I want to do other things? So,
Mhm.
like you said, it's what do you say? Beauty of being still 23 years old and not a pair of old guys like us.
I'm very lucky.
Dan's a
Yeah,
little
I
older
got
than
in
me.
right at the right time.
Yeah, like I think of myself, would I, if I was 21 years old and no family or anything, would I do the professional thing like some of those guys do?
Mhm.
Because I can't. The time commitment is impossible to try to do with the
Hey,
family.
you're even with a family, full time job, you're holding your own, man. You were playing at DreamHack Atlanta and
I
doing it quite
know.
well, from what I remember.
I know. So that's another
Mhm.
thing that we have gotten to meet you in person twice, which is kind of fun because a lot of people from Hearthstone
Yeah.
you never see because it's
Hmm.
just kind of a big
Yep.
country, so you're spread out. But because of Atlanta DreamHack, you are, I guess, an official caster there or a regular for 2 years in a
Hmm.
row.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you
Yeah.
can keep coming back. I have a feeling it's gonna continue to come here because.
Yeah. Well, it's already set up for next year. They
Is it
already have it
really?
scheduled.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh
thank
yeah.
goodness.
Yeah. Next
Goodness.
year's already. Yeah. I remember getting the email. I thought we might have chatted about, but yeah,
I mean,
I I
those
got the
guys
email.
have that
The
giant.
DreamHack schedule for next year's up.
Yeah, that
Good.
developer had that giant stage. I mean, that kind of tells you they're here to stay. So that was an
Yeah.
awesome.
I guess it worked out with. Oh,
I
and so you probably just said their name too. The other company there that was in Georgia and
High
had taken
res,
over a large chunk
high
of the
res, right?
high res.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, they had their world championship event.
yeah. Remember there
Yeah,
was a they
they
had
spent some
bleachers.
money.
Right.
So
Yeah, they did.
that was one thing we talked about. I don't know what happened to the Hearthstone. At first, it got kind of pushed to the side, and then the seating area was kind of a joke. I was like, "What happened here? There's nowhere to sit." Maybe
Yeah,
those bleachers.
I sat at the magic tables to watch Hearthstone from across the way.
I mean, those bleachers
Yep.
took the whole floor. I guess it's weird.
Yeah, well, they filled them up. They had quite the time over there.
Yeah, want to hold that thought because I want to talk about that as a lead-in about the state of the game. But I do want to
Okay.
say to Cora, to I don't know if this was planned or it was random, but that I appreciated her. I know it was her brother too, but she maybe had a hand on putting us on stage, or maybe it was just luck of the draw. But you casted the match, so at least there's that.
I did cast the
Yeah.
match. I don't
I
have
don't think the
any say in
cat-
it. That
yeah.
would have been the tournament admins, very likely.
Okay.
But you know what? I'm happy that it happened, and it was
Yeah.
really good fun to get to see you two play against each
I-
other.
Because at the time you two were both like
Yes.
a couple of the only 9-0 people.
I had a
or something
9-0
like that.
record.
Yeah,
But
I think that was the case. So that's why
you
that's
know,
why you
guys-
guys worked
guys
out.
earned it.
You guys got
No
put on
nepotrism there.
deck. Yeah.
if
No, I don't think they would let the casters have much input on who
okay.
got casted.
I didn't know
That
how
would-
it works, so you didn't even
That
talk
could
to
be.
those guys then. You're just over there. Okay.
Yeah.
She goes,
well-
just gets a piece of paper or whatever and says, okay, this is who's up.
Yeah, no, but I listened. I haven't even watched the whole thing, but I listened to the intro, and you said a lot of kind words, so I appreciate that for the show and for us.
Like I said, you earned it, man.
And
Put in the work, you put in the time, and I'm happy to help get your story out there.
and then being on that stage with the lights, what a disaster! Like I look back and I'm
So
like,
dark.
Wasn't that
it's so nerve wracking, and I am like, I made so many things that I shouldn't have, and I'm trying to keep my composure. But hey, now it's out of the way, so I kind of know what it looks and feels like.
Believe me, Fred,
You
I
broke the ice and
I understand how you feel now.
It's so bad.
After,
I'm like, I can't
God.
believe it. You're like, oh, I've been around enough. This is not gonna get to me, but it does. I mean,
after WSOE last month, I understand exactly how you feel.
oh,
It is so hard.
what is
Oh,
that?
yeah,
What was
well,
that? Maybe.
It was a women's event that I played in
Okay.
California.
She placed second.
I did play
And
second.
and well, yeah,
So
I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember like some of the specific events, but the last game was pretty monumental not if I'm not misremembering
Oh,
this. And then well, I
sorry.
know
It was very stressful.
maybe
it
she can
was
tell us the story for those of us that are out of the loop like me. Man, I feel bad.
Yeah.
Unprepared.
you took second and you did admirably. Hindsight's 2020, and you can always look back
Sure.
and go, well, I guess sure if I'd have had the crystal ball to know exactly what was in my opponent's hand and everything, I might could have done differently. But you don't get that luxury when you're across the board from them and the lights are in your face and the pressure's on. So
Yeah, so for people that don't know, it's World Showdown of Esports today's 16 woman Hearthstone event in December, actually, and I ended up doing far better than I ever thought I would. I finished second place, losing only one single match through the entire duration of the tournament, and it was to Gia. I won my group. I beat Hafu. I beat Patra on stage, and then I was up 2-1 against Gia, and unfortunately, yeah, the pressure got to me a little bit, the stress got to me a little bit, and I ended up losing the series and taking second. But it was still an incredible experience. It was a lot of fun, and they're going to be doing another event in March, which I will be playing in. So I'm planning on not letting her win again.
Yeah,
are they going to do the same crazy format, or have they not
I'm
said?
thinking a different format, but I do not know for sure.
How it seemed kind of like a cool format, but it seemed like it might have been a bit overbearing for a big, long tournament to do it all that way.
It's very stressful.
Which is
well, for a number.
Do you mind touching on the format a little bit for everyone? Because it's kind of it's neat, but wow, that I could see maybe like the final round or something. You got to be ready for something like that, maybe. But yeah, could you explain how that worked? Because you guys are the only ones that have done anything like that, as far as I know. And if you think that something like that or a format like that could be usable in the future.
So it was a 9-deck format with a draft phase, which was absurd. Absolutely insane. And the day before the tournament began was when they announced the random balance changes.
Oh.
That's right. They really, they did.
Oh my god.
They were kind of heartless on you guys. I kind of understand the reasoning, but wow.
Yep. That was when they nerfed Shutterwalk, they nerfed Odd Paladin, they nerfed Druid. So we had to submit decks for all 9 classes, and then we had to resubmit all of our decks for all 9 classes. And yeah, it was between my semifinal and final match. I had like 5 minutes to go use the bathroom, and then come back, and I had to draft immediately because I was the second semifinal match. So it was quite an experience. And it was my first ever LAN Hearthstone event ever that I've ever played.
Like
the only Hearthstone events that I competed in before were online. So to go from nothing to like the highest level of production at the OGN studio in California and be in a final match was just like, it was really rewarding because I know now that I have the ability to do that, but it was also like a big ol' slap in the face because I've just never felt that way before. I've never felt that mix of like adrenaline and stress and pressure.
It'll feel that much better when you win the next one.
I sure hope so. I've been public speaking for so long that casting just doesn't give me that level of adrenaline and anxiety, but playing is just a whole different ballgame. So I know exactly how you feel when you're saying that, Fred. It is not easy.
So I told this story on the show after, but I was wearing my Apple Watch, as they say you can't have your phone or whatever else, and it kept alerting me, dude, what is going on? Because your heart rate is so elevated and you're just sitting there. So
no!
It kept beeping at me. That's how bad it was. So imagine that.
I basically they gave us hand warmers because it was so cold in the building, and I just kept like throwing it back and forth in my hands, like trying to like find some sort of an outlet for all
Yes,
of the energy. And yeah, it was wild.
it's
I
pretty
couldn't
crazy.
imagine. I don't know. I couldn't. I don't know if I could sit there.
Yeah.
It'd be hard for me not to just like pop up out of my chair and just pace back and forth in front of my little desk for a moment. It'd be hard.
Well, it's just like you're playing on this other computer that's not yours. You're sitting on this chair. It's completely different, but good to know how all that feels like. So maybe next time I'm not as worried. So it's gonna be a next time. You'll see me on stage again. I hope at DreamHack. We'll see.
Entirely possible, friend.
That's right.
And we still don't know exactly how all this new format and online tournament stuff's going to work in the future. So who knows? It might even work out. You got a little time to try and take a whack at a couple of those. So get you some points.
Yes.
But who knows? Well, it'll be interesting to see how all that comes out in the future.
Yep.
So yeah, it's our live show, anniversary show. We got our cool guests, and we've just completely off format.
Oh yeah, I'm fine.
But it doesn't matter. We'll cover stuff next week.
I wanted to go back to the setting at DreamHack, that it was off to the side and sort of like the small seating area, compared to these other big ones. So, and also because of we track somewhat our numbers and our patrons and all that stuff. And I know that our show is niche and it's not for everybody, but we've seen a decline in all of that, and we're just trying to understand, is it the state of the game overall that, it's going on, I guess this is the 6th year maybe, if it's you count the beta.
Yeah.
And is it to the point that we hit the big peak a couple years ago, and now it's more like steady, and this is what we're gonna see, almost like a plateau from a competitive standpoint?
I will say it's a trend amongst all Hearthstone podcasts, not just you guys, and I do think that just has to do with the state of the game. Things have been a little bit dull for the last year or so, and knowing that we have to wait now 3 more months before we get any significant change in the game, it's just people are tired. People are a little bored.
Yeah, we would get these spikes at release that you don't even see anymore. Maybe like a little bump, but this whatever the name is, Rastakhan, that seems to have been like not much. It was, and then there were the nerfs too, but it didn't do much. It seems.
Yeah. I am assuming that there's going to be a big swing with the game when the rotation comes. I know personally, I've been trying to kind of like roll with things and adapt. It seems like the new set didn't have a giant impact. I was playing Odd Rogue. I don't even think uses any new cards.
We were
that came out and was playing, and it got me to 6. I had to do some quests, and I got a little bit of a run with it. So
the deck I made Legend with has 0 new cards this month. It's the same deck from last month.
Yeah.
So that's like, wow. Okay, not even one? Nope. Don't need him. And
no. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that the fact that you don't need him and nothing counters that old deck from the new stuff. So there were no new tools. It seems like it was his own thing. This Loa was trying to set up, and the spirits. None of that is being played. I don't know what's happened.
So it's an issue of power creep with the previous 3 sets.
Right.
With Ungoro, Knights of the Frozen Throne, and Kobolds and Catacombs, you had legendary weapons, you had Death Knights, you had spell stones, and those are some of the most powerful cards we've ever seen in Hearthstone. And then the power level of the game just became so high that Blizzard eventually realized, oh geez, we're going to need to scale this back a little bit if we want to have enough design space to be able to pursue, new interests within the game. And unfortunately, we have to live with those 3 sets for quite some time. So when the rotation happens in April, we're losing the three most powerful sets that are currently defining the game, and we're going to be left with now Boomsday, Witchwood, and Rusticons Rumble, which are good sets, very flavorful, a lot of different archetypes that you can build, but significantly lower in power level. So I would expect quite a boost in listenership, in patronage when that rolls around, because there's going to be just such a difference in the game that people are going to be looking to the experts and looking to publications and podcasts, things like that, to know what to do with the game, because it is, I think, going to be a completely different game at that point.
So you think it's been more of an issue of just maybe the power creep got away from them a little bit, and this is just the bump we're gonna have to get over while they try and bring it down?
Yeah, I mean, we've just been essentially playing the same game now for over a year, since Kobolds and Catacombs came out last December.
Yeah, it
Right,
kind
the
of seems
sets
that way. The
don't
decks
seem
have
to do
been the
anything,
same, just little tweaks here and there. Throw
Mhm.
in some new cards because they work in the decks or whatever, but not that overall sweeping change in the meta that I guess everybody's used to. And and for I don't know, the faster decks, I get the odd rogue. I definitely wasn't fatiguing with that thing. It was semi-effective, and it wasn't having to go super long with the games, which is definitely something I prefer, because I don't have just tons and tons of time to play. I don't. Do you feel there is a place for faster decks in this meta? It seems like it's just more of a slower control meta, and if you're really, really good, you can make a zoo deck or something work. If you're, that skilled and get a little bit of luck.
It's a meta it's being really heavily defined by combo decks right now in particular. The deck we're going to look at today, Zerik's Cloning Gallery, Resurrect style of a priest deck, is incredibly powerful, and has been really sort of the step that other decks have needed to reach now. And we've also got Shrivala Holy Wrath OTK coming into the build. We've got the Paladin Quad Death Knight OTK.
Yep.
It's just these combo decks that are really defining the meta. Even after Shudderwalk Shaman was taken away, these other decks just sort of took its place. So I do think there's a place for aggro decks. I think aggro decks have a tendency to counter combo decks in particular very well, but it's just that right now these combo decks happen to be very stable against aggro, which is not what we're usually used to with combo decks. It's not the way it's supposed to be. But Paladin has a ton of healing, and Priest has Spirit Lash plus Prophet Velen and Malagos. They have Obsidian Statue. They have Witchwood Grizzly. It's like all of these tools that aren't supposed to exist in a combo deck right now do.
It's not to mention Shrink Ray.
Powerful. I think there's room for it in the space. It's just having a bit of a tough time right now.
Yeah, and there's all the board clears too. Mass Hysteria and Psychic Scream. Spirit Lash is healing and board clear. Then in the Paladin you have Shrink Ray and the Equality Consecration with the Pyromancer. It's just too much for an aggro to try to... I mean, you can build board after board, but you can't survive the fifth board wipe. It's like...
I mean, you can get the Paladin down to, you're going to kill him next turn, and then they go Crystal Smith Kangor and Flash of Light and Spike Reach Steed, or they have Uther of the Ebon Blade up, and then they drop Kangor and they heal for 10. Like, it's...
Or the Shrivala with the 14. I mean, it's like...
The power level of the combo decks right now is just so high that aggro decks, which haven't gotten a lot of a boost as of late, because, charge is such an abusive mechanic that they've had to really scale back on printing charge cards. They've had to scale back on cards that are overtly aggressive, and they just nerfed Odd Paladin, and Odd Paladin was the most successful aggressive deck in the format. So now aggro's just, it's a little bit weaker.
So what I used, I don't know what you call it, maybe it's mid-range. It's even Shaman, right? With weaponized Pinata.
Oh, fun.
And the Nimbus. So what you're relying on is the pseudo card draw that gives you stuff that you don't know what it is, but it's good enough to get you there. And then you have Hagatha, of course, which that's how I went 9-0. at
Nice.
DreamHack. It was because of that.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
great value generation. Even Shaman is a mid-range deck for all intents and
Yeah.
purposes. It can be somewhat aggressive, obviously with cards like Flame Tongue Totem,
Mm-hmm.
you can just burst down your opponent, but it's a deck that is trying to ultimately get to the Lich King, get to Hagatha the Witch,
Mm-hmm.
and more traditional aggro decks would never
Yeah.
want to get to turn 8. If they get to turn 8, it's very likely that they just lost the game. So it's a slower deck than historical aggro decks have been, but that's just sort of the Hearthstone world we're living in right now, where the aggro decks are more mid-rangey than they are aggressive, but they're still the fastest decks that exist in the
Right.
space.
Right. It's pretty fast. That's what I was saying then, that I consider it pretty fast because, my time is also very limited, but it's very effective. But I was like, if you try to make it any faster, it's not good enough. Like, it needs to have all that
Yeah.
extra little generation of cards and stuff to keep up, because otherwise you don't get there. So it's quite interesting. It's like that hybrid hunter, right? So it has the possibility of exploding with the dire mole and crackling and the animal companion, and you're dead. Or, well, we're gonna sit back and play the spellstones and Rexar, and then Zoljan will get us where we need to be. That's the kind of style that I have been playing, because it seems fast enough when it needs to be, rather than, okay, I'm gonna sit here and play Odd Warrior until, which I
Until
guess
I die.
until I die of my own fatigue with 90 armor, but it's still not enough.
I was thinking until I die of old age,
It's like,
because it just takes so long.
so yeah,
I know. I've tried to adopt. I've had some success. I've kind of figured out OTK Paladin, but
it's the one
yeah,
with the
that's
four
a
with the four horsemen, not the
right. Oh, the
Holy
Four
Wrath
Horsemen.
version.
I haven't. I guess people have worked the Holy Wrath into this deck. I haven't looked at that yet, but
Yeah.
maybe I should look into adding it. But
They play Baleful Banker and Zola as well as the Youthful Brewmasters. So you can OTK with the Death Knights, but
yeah,
usually they'll go for Shrivala Holy Wrath OTK. That's the primary win condition.
Yeah.
yeah, 25 damage, bam on the head.
Turns out it's pretty good.
Guaranteed, because you can play it for free at that point.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well,
Well,
have we could go on and on about this meta and
no.
hash jokes back and forth. Oh, yeah, look, it doesn't bother me a bit.
I will ask Cora what would she like to see. Like, but these three sets are
Yeah.
gonna die. The superpower level
Mhm.
stuff. Like, what would you like to see? Because there was a point, when was it, where I think everybody, what they wanted was balance, right? That every class could have a deck, and I think we got
Yeah.
there at some point, but then nobody liked it either. It's like, so.
It did seem like there was a bit of be careful what you wish for.
Yes, like,
So
okay,
you just might get it.
because it's too much now, because I don't know what to do, because everybody has a viable deck.
Yeah.
And what do you like to see? What would you like to see if you were the one making
You
the
had-
decisions?
You
Yeah.
had the magic wand.
So this year has been the most balanced Hearthstone year that we've ever had.
Mhm.
The tournament scene has flourished because there have been so many tournaments, and because the game has just been so incredibly well balanced.
Mhm.
But with that does come a little bit of monotony, I would say. Everything is pretty good, so nothing is crazy exciting. And we've had some ingenuity, but not a ton of it. And there just has been tournament oversaturation. So I think overall the excitement level in Hearthstone has gone down. The satisfaction level has gone down, but the game, I think, is still functionally very good. So I'm hoping that the tournament restructuring for next year is going to be step number one in getting people excited about the game again. I don't know what it's going to entail. I'm still quite in the dark. I don't know what my job is going to look like in 3 months, which is quite scary. But I'm hopeful that with the new tournament structure and with a vastly different meta coming with the Hall of Fame rotations, that things are going to be very fresh and that the game's going to be very exciting again. And of course, when the rotation happens, we get a brand new set at the same time as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we get the new set, we get the rotation, we get the World Championships right after it. Then we have that new league structure that they're building out for next year. And I think the future for Hearthstone is very bright.
Is that the how the events are going to go? We get the rotation
they mentioned something about a league for next year, but I do believe the set is coming out before the World Championships.
No, that kind of makes sense to kind of ride this out. Then we get the new set, get the rotation, they get Worlds, and then it seems like kind of a building thing.
Yeah, I'm not absolutely positive,
sense.
but I think that's how it's going to work.
Oh,
so I would have to double check.
If I had to look in my crystal ball, that makes a lot of sense to me. I don't think my crystal ball works very well. But
it would make Worlds a much more exciting event if that's the way that it worked.
Okay, so in my humble opinion, it kind of seems like we got the variety in decks where all the classes seem to have a viable play, but once we got there, it just kind of stopped. Even with the new set or two coming out, it's still been kind of the same decks, just with some tweaks here and there. Not a lot of the big sweeping changes I think everybody, including myself, is used to. Well, yeah. I guess in my humble opinion.
Okay. Well, that's a good discussion. And how about for you, Cora? What are you thinking about doing? You gonna try to just continue doing the casting? Are you gonna do more competitive stuff? Like what's
in Atlanta next year?
What's on the horizon there?
I hope they offer a nice fat contract with all this casting for next year.
I hope so. I really want to keep doing what I'm doing, but so much of it is dependent on there's a lot of mouths that need to be fed, and there's only so much food. Yeah. So, the more people that move up in the casting world, the more difficult it gets to maintain the level of productivity that I've become used to. But like I said, I'm hopeful. And at this point, it's just a matter of, I guess, kind of wait and see what's going to happen. I'm, heading out tomorrow to cast a one-day event that the casters haven't been announced yet, but everybody knows what the event is. And then I'm coming back, and then I'm doing another thing, and then I'm coming back. Like I'm going to be busy for the next several months. I will be competing in the second WSOE event, very likely.
Excellent.
But I want to continue casting. Commentary is, it's my job, and I love it, and I'm hoping that I get to do it for a very, very long time.
So where would you probably got like a Twitter account or something people could follow to kind of keep up with these things and where you're casting and these events, especially maybe when something happens quick or last minute. Maybe if you shoot, what's that Twitter, Cora?
You guys can find me at songbird_HS on Twitter. And then if you're interested, I do stream occasionally. That's twitch.tv/songbird_Cora. So I try to get out there as much as I can.
Yeah, you can definitely keep up with what she's doing, y'all. It not that hard, and it'd be worthwhile. So, all right. Sorry, I kind of derailed things a little bit there, but
no, it's good.
There's just a lot to talk about right now.
Yeah,
things are changing.
I know our listeners right now are going, what podcast is this?
I hate that to go back to this, but I missed this on the chat since we don't do live enough. But somebody said, addressing the CLW75, addressing the Evergreen set could be an option to balance the ladder between expansions. I think Brian Kibler talks about this a lot. Like I've watched some of his videos where he thinks that's one of the issues. That they don't do much with that, so therefore you always have these cards that are always in decks because they're so powerful and they're from the classic set.
I have a thought.
Okay.
That with Uh, I don't. I won't expect to see any more big changes till we get over this hump. The rotation happens and the new set comes out, and they see how things settle out. They've shown they are not above, whipping out the band hammer with a quickness or the Nerf hammer
That was new. Yeah.
when there seems to be a real long-term ongoing issue. Uh, I don't see any. There's a lot of ideas and thoughts of what we could do with that set, and I agree that there could be some balancing done with the old set, but I wouldn't expect to see much else happen, unless some, real issue comes up between now and rotation. I think we got what we got till the next set comes out and rotation and all these changes start to take place. That would be where I would put my last dollar. So.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Blizzard have shown that they care very much about catering to the casual player base, and to do that, they feel they need to affect the game as little as possible outside of, the expansions and the rotations, and to change anything about the classic set, I feel would be a little bit too intrusive and a bit too much of an interruption for players who don't play as much as you and I do. Even though for competitive players, it would probably be a very positive thing. I don't see it happening. I mean, maybe some balance changes here and there. I mean, they did just nerf Wild Growth and Nourish, which was unprecedented. That was a huge deal. It shows
and
that
the worm got nerfed not too long before that.
And a worm, exactly.
And
they're more
was
willing.
One of the biggest issues you heard everybody talking about. I don't hear a lot of the podcasts that I listen to. I don't hear anybody really like in unison. Everybody going like they were about Mana Worm.
Yeah.
All the time, everybody go, yeah, they need to nerf Mana Worm. Mana Worm needs to be more. But I don't personally. I'm not hearing those types of calls.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard a lot of different thoughts and ideas, a lot of good ones.
Yeah.
But I don't see that one, where everybody's saying the same thing.
There really isn't a card that sticks out in my mind as being oppressive right now. Surely one will come up. They always do. But after Wild Growth and Nourish got hit, a lot of the very powerful cards, like I said, are just rotating. Deathstalker XR, Blood Reaver Gul'dan, certain legendary weapons are potentially oppressive, but we're not going to have to worry about them for much longer.
Yeah. I think the other thing you were saying made me think of this was, and apparently they've abandoned the idea about tournament mode, but that would be a way to address the consensus card. Let's say Mana Worm, everybody thinks it's a problem, but they haven't nerfed it. You can hold a tournament that says, hey, no Mana Worm, it's out. Boom. And then you can deal with that on the spot, or no Wild Growth, or whatever it is. But apparently that's gone. But that's strictly to cater towards the competitive scene. That's all about the tournaments and the points.
It seems like they're pretty willing to let third parties handle their tournament stuff.
But it doesn't deal with this kind of stuff.
Just kind of support them.
Yeah.
Well, I would not look for tournament mode of any kind in our client in the near future. That would be great. It seems like it's going to be all, third-party stuff. Now, there may be in the future the one third-party, whatever it is, take your pick, that, they go, okay, you're handling all the league stuff. Go sign up, A, B website, and they can, maybe in words. So maybe in the third-party app, they will be able to come up with ways to do more creative tournaments, or maybe we can sign in and have a way we can set up our own different third-party tournament where you can set all the rules and everything, and it all gets set and handled within the client. It wouldn't be within the Hearthstone, but I think if they had one client that functioned well, that you could go to and set bans or do an arena draft thing through
Mm-hmm.
it,
Mhm.
you have 4 1 card, well, you can do that. Uh, yeah, I think it's all going to be a 3-3.
It's what it sounds like, right? Because they kind of said it's mixed, the client tournament part.
Yeah.
So, oh well, one can hope. Uh, okay, cool. Well, that's all. Again, give Cora a follow on Twitter, on Twitch, so you can see when she
Yes, there's
streams
probably
and when
some
she's
there's probably some
up
links
there.
on today's show, I imagine.
But we should
Could be.
move on to the gameplay. I'm really excited about this because.
All right,
I,
hang on.
oh,
Got a
sorry.
cue before we go into our
Oh,
explanation
sorry.
here. Uther has something to say about the
None
deck.
of them. There are teeth marks in my cards. I told you to put them
Oh.
in sleeves.
Well, I thought he had more of an opinion on the deck we were playing, but
Yeah.
okay, he's just worried about the teeth marks. So,
Yeah.
well, maybe one of you guys might have a little something more informative to say about the deck.
Yeah, I'm excited because I have seen this deck a lot, but I
Yeah.
don't have any proficiency on it. So what better way to learn from somebody that does and that could show us what we need to be doing? It's the cloning gallery, this priest that I've seen a lot, and has some resurrect to it. So I will let Cora do our classic readout and explanation of why these cards are here and how this deck ticks. So I'll let her take it away.
All right. So today we are going to be taking a look at the Xerix Cloning Gallery Priest, which is a deck that originally emerged, I believe Savit started playing it, and people looked at it as being a little bit gimmicky, and then Osmodai picked it up and hit rank 1 legend with it several times. Then people started to take a bit more of a look at it and see that it really does have a ton of potential in competitive play. So it's developed over time, but the main goal of the deck is to be able to combo out your opponent, essentially, with the use of Xerix Cloning Gallery to pull out the minions from your deck, to be able to resurrect spell damage minions such as Prophet Velen and Malagos, and then using Mind Blast and Holy Smite to be able to just straight up kill your opponent. But the deck does have just ways to be incredibly grindy. It has Eternal Servitude. It has the Greater Diamond Spellstones, which once you've upgraded them, summon 4 different minions that have died on your side of the board this game. So it is a deck that has kind of been defining the combo part of Hearthstone now for several months. And I'm sure you've seen it quite a bit in competitive play, and I don't think that's going to be changing anytime soon. But yeah, it's not an easy deck to play. It's a deck that can struggle quite a bit against aggro if you don't know how to mulligan correctly, but against control decks, it's fantastic. It can be significantly faster than other combo decks, giving it a ton of race potential against things like OTK Paladin, for instance. It has quite a bit of life gain, so if you do get the draw that you need, you can have a really great time against those aggressive decks that we were talking about. But yeah, it's a ton of fun to play. Something that I have now hit Legend with twice, I believe. And you're going to be seeing it at those top Legend ranks quite a bit, I would say. But yeah, do you guys have anything to say about it? Have you seen other people play this quite a bit?
I've seen it on the ladder, yeah.
Enough.
So one thing. Oh, the other.
I see it enough.
One thing I noticed that as a mid-rangey kind of more faster aggro player, the card that I was losing to the not losing, but that was causing the most roadblock was Ziliax. And then I saw one of the tournament, it maybe had been Americas, and it was the number 1 card on every deck. Like I saw on the Hearthpone, they do the aggregation, and it seems like everybody's trying to find a place for Ziliax because it really puts a lot of stop to those more aggressive decks with a lot of healing. And I've seen this deck resurrect Ziliax 2, 3, 4 times, and it's really hard to get through sometimes. So this has 10 minions, But in reality, there's a lot more with the Shadow Essence and the Servitudes and the Spellstones and
They
the
just
Gallery.
seem to keep coming.
It keeps
back,
coming, yeah.
Coming back. And
Yeah, I mean, you don't really want to draw your minions with this deck.
Right.
There are a couple different versions of it. There's version with Obsidian Statue. There's the version you're looking at here, which has the Witchwood Grizzly in it. And this is, I would say, the more popular version now post-Rosticon with the addition of Mass Hysterias. The only minions you're actually looking to draw, probably Gilded Gargoyles. Sometimes you want your Radiant Elementals, but more often than not, you want all those minions in your deck so you can play Zarek's Cloning Gallery as early as possible, pull all the minions out, and kill your opponent straight up. That very, very rarely happens, though, which is why this deck is so difficult to play, because the primary game plan is one that you will almost never be able to execute just by the nature of drawing cards from your deck and the odds of drawing those minions that will then throw off the ability to play Zarek's Cloning Gallery, pull out 2 Radiant Elementals, Velen, and Malygos at the same time. It's just very unlikely that happens. So that's when you start to get into that grindier game plan. That's where you look at Lyra the Sunshard being such a pivotal part of the deck because of its ability to generate so much value. That's where you look at utilizing your Shadow Visions to pull out additional copies of Eternal Servitude or the Diamond Spellstone to be able to just create these incredibly powerful board states that eventually are overwhelming for your opponent. They can't deal with them, and then you have so much damage on the board that you just kill them. Or you have the spell damage on the board, and then you can Mind Blast them for upwards of 40 damage, depending on how much spell damage you do have on the board with that combination of Malygos and Prophet Velen. So it's a deck that takes a lot of practice to get very, very good at, and it's a deck that a lot of beginning players probably won't like. I gave this deck to my dad because he had most of the minions he needed, and I just said, my dad always is like, Cora, build decks for me. And I'm like, okay, here you go, you can play this. And he hates it. You can die very fast.
Yes.
This deck's biggest enemy is Odd Rogue because it's so quick, it has such consistent damage with the weapon, and if you don't have Spirit Lash at exactly the right time, you are going to be dead by about turn 5 or 6.
Yeah.
But in control matchups against, say, Odd Warrior, against something slower like Hunter, this deck actually thrives against Hunter, which is why it's become so popular, because Hunter was the most popular class for quite a while. But Psychic Scream is the Hunter killer. You take all those powerful minions off the board, put them back in the deck, and then they can't capitalize on Death Rattles, they can't capitalize on Beast Synergy, depending on which version of Hunter your opponent's playing. And that's initially why this deck was so popular, because we needed a counter to Hunter, and this was going to do it the best, I suppose. This and Control Priest, simply because of Psychic Scream. But this also, after the Psychic Scream, hits its power turns. So you clear their board, you end up playing your Zarek's Cloning Gallery, you get all of these minions resurrected, and then there are very few decks that can win at that point.
Okay. So am I mulliganing for something specific? Like,
it does depend on the matchup.
okay.
But in general, if you're playing against Control, you want Zarek's Cloning Gallery. That is the #1 priority. If you see it in your opening hand and you're playing against a Warrior in Standard, where you can reasonably assume it's Odd Warrior, keep that Zarek's.
Okay.
Against, say, a Rogue or a Hunter or a Shaman, which are very likely going to be aggressive decks, you're going to want Gilded Gargoyle. Holy Smite is okay as just early removal. Doesn't need to be used to deal that finishing blow of damage, because you need to get to that point in the game. And against aggressive decks, you're not necessarily looking to combo out your opponent. You're just looking to survive, and eventually you're going to take over the board with, Witchwood Grizzlies, with Ziliax, like you were saying, for life gain and taunt. And you just grind out that game by essentially removing their ability to win rather than advancing your own game plan. So the safeguards against aggro, Spirit Lash is great against Paladin. Holy Smite is quite good against any aggressive deck that you can reasonably assume you're going to see, and Gilded Gargoyle is always going to be a priority. The removal pieces, Psychic Scream, because it is 7 mana, is kind of difficult to warrant keeping. Maybe you could justify keeping it in Hunter, but because there's more Hybrid Hunter than Death Rattle Hunter now, I would say, it can be a bit of a liability. Mass Hysteria, quite good, but also can be a bit inconsistent. So Honestly, I'm not entirely clear on whether or not you keep those removal pieces. I haven't played a ton of this deck in the last month or two. I was playing it more at the start of its popularity, at the start of its rise. But yeah, anti-aggro tools against aggro, get your big bombs against control. Nothing too complicated about the Mulligans.
So it's kind of the reason I was suggesting it, Dan, since you've been playing that Death Knight Paladin, which you kind of have to live to get the thing going. This has a little bit of that flavor. It's not the same, but it has that I need to survive to be able to do my crazy stuff, and then you die in one spot. So I thought we should give it a shot to see how it goes.
Okay. I have found, was surprised that I kind of liked that aspect of the OTK Paladin. I wasn't none too concerned with what their health is and whatnot. I'm just worried about frustrating them and staying alive, but I can't say I always feel really good about.
Hey, it's what it
but,
is.
It's just, it is what it is. I feel like I've become part of the problem sometimes, but damn it, it is pretty cool when you can get all 4 horsemen down on the board, and it happens
I love that
a
deck.
lot.
That deck is awesome.
It is.
But you know what? It can also be incredibly frustrating to play because ultimately it's coming down to 75% and 50% rolls to get the correct horseman that you need, and sometimes you just don't get them. If you're rolling Inquisitor Whitebane 5 times in a row, you can't win the game, and your opponent's going to kill you. Which is why the Shirvala OTK has become more prevalent. It's more consistent, it's more reliable, and then they have the Death Knight OTK as sort of the backup win condition.
Yeah, I know. For a first little bit when I was playing that deck, man, I got spoiled. For a while, I just didn't think you even could get like a double of something, and then it happened.
Yep, it's rough.
But that's not the deck we're playing today. That was a deck we played the last couple of weeks, actually, I think.
It was fun.
Today. Oh, hang on.
You can go ahead and queue, Dan, and get ready.
I'm trying to keep pushing all kinds of buttons over here. I'm finally pushing the right ones. Okay. Here we go.
All right.
Still sitting at rank 6. But it's still doing better than I finished at 7 last month. So
very nice.
Up to a little bit better of a run this month.
Let's get you to rank 5. Get you that
that'd
that
be
rank
nice.
5 chest.
It is within doability. Well, look at that. We're playing against another priest. Huh. So what do you think in the mirror match? Because more than likely that's what we're up against here. Now in my hand I drew the Mass Hysteria, Radiant Elemental, and the Psychic Scream. I imagine we keep the Radiant Elemental. The Psychic Scream's kind of early.
So here's the thing about
the mirror match.
Playing against a priest. It could be the mirror, it could also be up against a control priest. In either case, we are looking to race them. We want to be the faster deck. We want to find our big minions and get them on the board as quickly as we possibly can. Radiant Elemental just doesn't really help us with that. So we're looking for...
so we throw everything back?
I think we're going to pitch everything here. You don't want removal in this matchup. Radiant Elemental, you're looking for more in the late game to kill the opponent. We want Shadow Essence. We want Gilded Gargoyle. We want Shadow Visions to find Zarek's Cloning Gallery. So picking up the Gilded Gargoyle, that's nice, but we still have a bit of a hodgepodge of pieces here. And we're going to ultimately need to find the cards that summon our minions before we can use things like the Spellstone and Eternal Servitude to bring them back.
Yes, now, because in our hand we got the Gilded Gargoyle, Lesser Diamond Spellstone, Mind Blast, and the Mass Hysteria. It could have been a better opening hand, but it is what it is.
He passed, which is unusual.
Wow, we got a couple of our finishers in our hand already, a couple of Mind Blasts, but I guess we want to hang on to those.
Yeah, a little bit early for those. Not terrible to have, but the little bit of reprieve with this deck, unlike Control Priest, you're not necessarily looking to Shadow Visions for additional Mind Blasts because your Mind Blasts are going to very likely deal 20 damage by themselves. So you don't need 3-4 Mind Blasts to win this game like a Control Priest does. You get the 2, it's probably going to be good enough, although you don't necessarily want them this early. But, it's okay. We still don't know quite what we're up against.
So don't mind blast the face on turn 2, right?
No, especially not against a priest.
I'm just making sure.
Well,
Okay, priest pass on turn
Prophet,
2 as
Prophet
well.
Villain's here. It looks like we're drawing a lot of the back end of our deck a little bit early, but we can play our Gilded Gargoyle now. So I guess we'll go ahead and throw that out there.
Yep.
Yeah, we play the Gilded Gargoyle. We got the Prophet Villain to Mind Blast, Mass Hysteria, and the Lesser Diamond Spellstone still in our hand.
So finding the Velen is actually okay. It is one of the cheaper big minions that we can play in the deck, so we can just play that on turn 7. But the Shadow
Our
Visions
friend
pick up.
played the same
Okay.
thing. Another Gilded Gargoyle.
So we got some Gargoyle on Gargoyle action. We drew our Shadow Visions. So we go ahead and play the Shadow Visions first?
I think so. Now that we know what we're playing against, we can be more educated about what to take off of the Shadow Visions.
We have another Shadow Visions. We got Zarek's Cloning Gallery and Eternal Servitude.
You want that cloning gallery. Like I said, now that we know we're playing against the mirror, we want to be the faster deck. You have the benefit of having gone first this game, meaning that you're going to have more mana than your opponent, and we're going to have the coin from the Gilded Gargoyle. So we are going to want to hold on to that to be able to coin out Zarek's cloning gallery as early as we possibly can.
Okay, so do we trade or we just go face?
I think it's probably fine to trade. I think there's very little chance that our opponent is playing something like Mass Dispel or Silence, which could get rid of our coin, but the 2 damage that you would deal to face is irrelevant. Our opponent is going to be able to heal it up, so you might as well remove all of those outlying possibilities of something like Mass Dispel being in the deck and just take that trade to get the coin.
He's also Shadow Visionings on turn 4. And that's it.
So we draw Spirit Lash. We got 5 mana, so we go ahead and just play Mass Hysteria? I guess not.
This is a deck where you're going to end up doing a whole lot of nothing sometimes. You have to run so many anti-aggro tools that if you're playing against another combo deck or a control deck, sometimes they're going to clog up your hand. But don't get worried at this point, I would say. Just because our opponent's not doing anything. Yeah, don't get antsy. Don't feel the need to use resources that you don't have to use.
Right. Okay, so we got a Spirit Lash, we got a coin, Zarek's Cloning Gallery, the Prophet, a couple of Mind Blasts, Mass Hysteria, and that Spellstone still in our hand. And that's it.
Yeah, nothing we really want to do this turn. Now, this is the first turn for our opponent that they could play Shadow Essence. And if they do, could be a little bit difficult for us because that means they will have a big minion that they can resurrect with Eternal Servitude and with the Spellstone. It turns out
the Sun Shard is here.
Yeah.
Oh.
We're going to go with Lyra instead.
And just a pass.
We draw Shadow Essence right on time. So I guess we play that?
It is a fantastic draw. And since we don't have any way to kill the Lyra, I think Shadow Essence here is better than Prophet Felon. Because, like I said, we want to hold that coin for Zarek's.
Right. All right, so Shadow Essence away. And we get a 5/5 Radiant Elemental.
There was the chance that we hit Ziliax off of Shadow Essence and could immediately kill the Lyra here. That would have been our best outcome. Unfortunately, it's a bit of a low roll, but at the very least, our 5/5 does challenge the Lyra on the board.
We could enable us to play Zarek's next turn.
Possibly.
If it lives somehow, yes.
If it lives. Big if.
Alright, he's got a full hand, so with Lyra now, that's not going to change very quickly unless he has a minion to play. But, okay, so he's coining.
He is running the risk of overdrawing here.
And there's Velen.
Okay.
Oh wow, on his face.
This is...
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, Lich King.
Yeah, we draw the Lich King.
So here, we're pretty much always going to play Zarek's.
Okay.
But I'm trying to calculate your damage at this point. So because you drew Prophet Velen, you cannot pull Prophet Velen from Zarek's Cloning Gallery, meaning that the most damage that you could deal this turn is 25 if you pull the Malagos, because each of your Mind Blasts would cost 0 from pulling the second Radiant, and would then deal 10 damage plus the 5 damage that you already have on the board. So we don't quite have lethal, but we're very close. And that's another part of this deck that is sort of difficult to keep up with, is you have to be able to count your damage at all times, because damage just sort of sneaks up on you out of nowhere. And you might miss lethal if you're not very careful.
Do we go ahead and play Zarek's?
I do think we do.
Okay.
Now,
Coin.
Get those
Zarek's
minions
Cloning
in our
Gallery.
resurrection pool.
what do we do? Trade?
Do we
against
take out-
Lyra?
Trade to take out Lyra? Quick. I'm on the
I
fuse.
think we want to kill the Prophet Velen.
How?
We can't. Oh, with the. Oh,
No, you know what? We didn't pull the Malagos. Go ahead and kill the Lyra.
Ooh,
We didn't
okay.
pull the Malagos because
yeah.
there are still more than 7 minions in your deck, meaning that we would have had to run Ziliax, the Radiant Elemental, into the Prophet Velen, and also Spirit Lash.
Oh.
It would have killed our stuff.
Okay.
So mass hysteria. There's
We could have pulled the Malagos and just Spirit Lash to clear the board. Then that would have been ideal, but this is still okay.
Wow, Phelan hit the worst thing, which was the 5 attack. But heals back for 4 and hits at 6. Okay.
Okay, I drew Holy Smite.
Okay.
So this is, let me see. So we got Holy Smite coin. Is this a Lich King drop?
Are we dead to his Zarek next turn?
Possibly.
Yeah.
We are possibly dead to Xerix, but unfortunately there's nothing that we can do about that.
Can't
Um,
kill this. 7, 8, 9, 10. Nope, not enough.
So here's the issue. Our Prophet Velen, we want to play our Prophet Velen because you didn't pull Malagos off of Xerix's Cloning Gallery and you don't have the spell damage to end the game. But not playing the Lich King means that he could just hit you in the face for 7. I do think, though, we need to look at playing to win and not playing to lose, and I think that means play the Prophet Velen and coin out a hero power to put yourself at 26 and hope that he does not have what he needs to kill you.
Coin the heal.
I'm with that. There we go. Got it in.
He has it, and that's unfortunate, but if he doesn't have it, you do have a chance to win the game with Diamond Spellstone next turn.
Alright, here we go.
The Mirror Match is tough.
What's it gonna be? The tension is building. Our opponent is
Here comes
considering.
Zarek is my thought. And he has all
Yep,
the others.
he's got it.
We're getting hit for 40. Oh, no, he's Shadow Visions. And now he's got it. Oh, doing it again.
Almost surely. Yeah.
Yeah, Mind Blast.
20 damage Mind Blast, and 14 damage Holy Smite. Alright, well,
That'll do it.
unfortunate, but
Could have been us doing that, but
his
it
Xerix
was
was
not.
just a lot better than yours. You drew your Velen early on, we didn't have a chance to play it, and you did not pull the Malagos off of the Xerix Cloning Gallery, whereas he did. So it's a matchup that is just entirely dependent on who can get there faster.
Okay, I'll try and get better at that.
It's not your fault. We were just a little bit slower this time. Your draw was still quite good. I mean, you hit the Essence on 6. You had the Gargoyle. You were able to Visions into the Xerix Cloning Gallery, which you can't always because there's quite a few spells in the deck. It was not a bad draw by any means, but it was just a little bit better.
Wasn't quite good enough. So here we are up against the Hunter. Let me see here. We're on the coin. We got 2. Okay, not 2. We have Eternal Servitude, a Radiant Elemental, Mass Hysteria, and Prophet Velen.
Okay.
So, what are you thinking?
Hunter's a very different ballgame than Priest. Against Hunter, we're looking at aggressive decks. And against aggressive decks, I think playing a Radiant Elemental just to try and check a threat on the board on turn 2 is absolutely fine. And I also like holding on to the Mass Hysteria for Spellstone in particular. So I think we're going to hold the Radiant and the Mass Hysteria and throw back the Prophet Velen and the Eternal Servitude.
Alrighty. That's what we do.
Pretty good.
Holy Smite, Psychic Scream could come in handy if we get that far.
Oh my goodness.
my God, the Marsh
No,
Queen.
this is something you don't see every day.
I have a
bets are off.
question. Not that we'll see it, but does Mass Hysteria trigger secrets?
It does.
It does. So if there's
It
a
does.
snake strap and stuff.
It triggers
Venom
snakes.
Strike.
It triggers Venom Strike.
Okay,
Yep.
gotcha.
It's a
Sorry.
weird
Alrighty.
card.
So yeah, we're playing against the Quest Hunter in case y'all weren't clear on why we were going. Oh wow, okay.
Marsh Queen.
I got
Yeah, that's the
Eternal
quest.
Servitude coin, Psychic Scream. I guess we don't coin out the Radiant Elemental. We got Mass Hysteria and Holy Smite. Do we
We wanna
play
hold
Holy
on
Smite?
to our
Hit him for you real quick? No? Okay.
I lost to
Let's
this.
not Dennis it up.
I lost this to this earlier this year. Earlier this month, by the way. He got whatever it was and killed me. He needed,
The
so.
wrong card?
So the Hunter quest is play 7 1-cost minions,
Yeah.
and then you get Queen Carnassa, which is a 5-mana 8/8, and shuffles 15 Raptors into your deck, which are 1-mana 3/2s that draw you a card. It is the card that single-handedly made HearthCoach quit Hearthstone because he thought it would be so overpowered, and then it promptly never saw any play because it's horrible.
We with the
I didn't
day
know that
it
trivia.
came out, we had a podcast and we had like a little success. It was like the first day, and that was it.
I didn't know that was one of the contributing factors. That's a good piece of trivia.
Yep, he thought it would be so broken that he didn't want to play Hearthstone anymore, and then it was awful.
Okay,
But
so
Coxberries,
we
to
played
see
the Direwolf Alpha and then roped us and then ended the turn.
Did we Holy Smite this?
I like Holy Smiting it, but I think we can also play our Radiant Elemental
Yeah.
because it discounts spells in our hand, so our Holy
Oh.
Smite ends up being free.
Oh, right. Okay. Duh.
We kind of want to
Free play.
preserve this Radiant Elemental if we can. Like I said, it has an incredible effect, obviously making your spells cost 1 less, but it's also just a River Crocolisk on the board, and a Hunter deck that's playing a lot of 1-drops is going to be fairly aggressive. So we'd like to be a little bit proactive if we can.
Spring Ball. Crackling Razor Maw.
Yeah, with that Spring Paw, that probably could help that thing out.
Okay,
Good.
let's rattle the tutus.
Oh,
Another
okay.
Radiant.
Interesting.
So what are you thinking here?
We have another Radiant Elemental. That doesn't let me play any extra spells. Do we, let me see, play the rather Radiant Elemental and take out a... Ooh. Oh,
Well, okay.
I guess
he
I was
quit.
thinking too long. Our
What?
opponent,
He's the one that roped. Whatever. He roped us.
Okay, well,
he was probably debating if he even wanted to play this out, I imagine.
so I think you were on the right track there. Playing the second Radiant Elemental is really good because then potentially we can play Shadow Essence on the following turn if the Radiant Elemental lives. And then I think we take the trade over the Crackling Razor Maw there because the Radiant's not dead on board, although we do know that he has a Spring Paw token in hand that he can use to kill off our Radiant Elemental. But then we could Servitude an Elemental back and go into Shadow Essence on the following turn.
Would there have been a reason to coin heal the Elemental after taking out the 1/1?
No, you were gonna take the 3/2.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kill
I
the
think we were
beast.
going to kill the Razor Maw there. I don't think there's reason to be super greedy, especially knowing Crackling Razor Maw's in the deck. If he's got a second one in hand and were to use it on the Crackling Razor Maw on the board, he could get Divine Shield, he could get plus health, and then suddenly there's a threat on the board that we can't deal with.
Well, I guess we can get one more in then.
Yeah, that was a short one.
I kind of wanted to see how that one was going to play out, too. That's a shame.
The
Yeah.
Carnasa thing? That looked fun.
Yeah.
I don't know. He like oops after he played that first minion, and
Yeah, because you don't normally play that for no value. That's weird.
Okay.
The dire
Well,
wolf.
it's another hunter. I'm gonna just look real quick and see if. No, I doubt it's this. No, it's not the same person. Okay. All right. Well, we're against a hunter. Probably not a quest hunter, I would bet. But
To assume,
I
think.
never know. We have a Radiant Elemental, Eternal Servitude, Spirit Lash, and Shadow Essence.
This hand works
Man,
so
pardon
well
me.
together.
I was going to say, part of me wants to just keep this hand.
It's risky. It would require us to find like Shadow Visions or Mass Hysteria.
Do we go
This
for it?
hand just works so well together.
All right, we'll keep it.
You know what? I think we should keep it. And the reason I'm saying that is because we're going to play the Radiant on 2, very likely. Spirit Lash is good removal if he's playing a hybrid hunter that has 1 health minions like Spring Paw. And then Shadow Essence with the Eternal Servitude follow-up could be our stabilizer. We could hit Witchwood Grizzly, we could hit Ziliax, like you were saying, and then suddenly we're ahead on board as early as turn 7, which is unusual against a hunter.
And we drew our other Shadow Essence.
It was not Quest Hunter, as far as we know.
Nope. So we got two Shadow Essences, Spirit Lash, Eternal Servitude. I'm going to go ahead and coin out our Radiant Elemental. Kidding. I just wanted to see Cora make faces.
Being on the coin with this deck is really awesome. It's really, really good. You want that coin. Because you're not trying to do much in the early turns anyway. So you want to be able to eventually cheat out a card that you shouldn't have the mana to play just yet. And hopefully use that to get ahead.
Maybe like Death Rattle, given that he just hero powered, but we'll see.
So I guess we just go ahead and throw out the Radiant Elemental?
I think so.
We drew Lyra on that, in case it wasn't clear. So that's that, and that's our turn.
Lyra, not bad. You don't want to pull Lyra off of Shadow Essence in this matchup, so drawing the Lyra actually is just fine.
Cool.
Eagle Horn Bow. Taking down the Radiant. Mercilessly.
Yes. So we drew a Psychic Scream.
It's a great card.
And I imagine we just go ahead and heal ourselves.
Yep, looking like a hero power pass turn. You have found a good chunk of the mid game for your deck. And like I was saying, this deck just doesn't have a whole lot to do in the early turns if you don't find those gargoyles. So this is a good hand. It is not nearly as slow as your hand could be with this deck, which is important to note. And also the fact that our opponent hasn't really done anything yet is pretty good for us.
Except what did he just do?
Just
He
played a secret.
We don't know what it is. And hit us in the face again.
And we drew Shadow Essence. Oh, excuse me. Shadow Visions. So many shadows.
Okay,
4,
so
5. Okay.
our opponent having played a secret means that we can narrow down the deck that he's playing. We know it's not Death Stars Hunter. We know it's not Death Rattle Hunter. It's going to be a secret-based Hunter with Subject 9 and with Spellstones. So I think now we have enough information to go ahead and use that Shadow Visions and look for something that we're going to want in the upcoming turns.
It's another Shadow Visions, Mass Hysteria. Oof, Xerix, Cloning Gallery again.
So with this matchup, I think Xerix is going to be a little bit too slow. You're going to be doing a lot of really good fighting in the mid game, and I think Mass Hysteria could be very helpful for us, especially knowing that he's playing the Spellstone.
We get the Mass Hysteria, we'll heal our face. And next turn we can Shadow Essence.
Yep, that's the first power turn for the deck.
If we're so inclined, and I think we will be.
Hero power. That's it?
Oh,
and swing. He has an
I could have coined out Lyra last turn. Darn, I didn't think of that.
You could have, but
I don't know about that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there is some merit to it, right? There's a chance that our opponent can't kill the Lyra, and then we could get some value off of it. if he can kill it, we could have resurrected it with Servitude, but the coin just smooths out our curve so nicely if we save it for this turn and coin
Yeah.
Shadow Essence into Shadow Essence.
Yeah. We have 2 Shadow Essences. So that's what we're going to do right now. Well, let me see. We drew another. Okay, so another Spirit Lash. So we got 2 Spirit Lashes. I played the coin. We're going to Shadow Essence for
Ooh,
Okay.
big boy
Malagos?
Malagos.
That
Yes,
makes
that's
our
good.
Spirit Lashes very good. And with
Ooh,
Malagos being
6.
the only minion in our res pool, at any point now we can go Eternal Servitude and Spirit Lash to clear a board if we want to.
And heal for a bajillion.
It's a Reno Jackson effect. Pretty
Yes.
Yeah, I know. I've seen it.
There's some mass
Much. I've been on the
hysteria.
receiving
Hey,
end.
Cora,
Yes.
there's some mass
Like next
hysteria
turn. I
in the
got him
chat
next
room
turn.
because of
Is
you.
there really?
Because of you.
I didn't see it. Oh no.
They're just happy.
Good. A happy audience is a good audience.
That's right.
We like a happy audience.
Ooh, unleash.
Unleashed
World.
is.
What? Just unleash
Well, I know
the
what
face.
he's holding. I know what card he has in his hand.
Ooh.
We draw a Mind Blast.
So it's important to note, if one of those secrets is Freezing Trap and we attack with our Malagos,
Mhm.
we can never play it again.
Yeah, no, I wasn't thinking about attacking so much. But I'd be willing to bet he's got whatchamacallit in his hand.
Kill command?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, because of the way he's playing? It's quite
Yeah.
possible.
Well,
So
even
we
if he has 2 kill commands, we're not within range of dying yet.
Okay, so we just stick with the plan in Shadow Essence?
I think so.
Okay.
And like we were saying, we have 2 Spirit Lashes with a Malagos whenever we want it, so we're
Oh.
whoa, wow, we're just gonna kill him.
If he doesn't
If
do
they-
something here,
If they live till next turn,
you know.
we
he'll just
we
die.
got Velen, Prophet Velen.
Yeah. That was the reaction.
That's why we're allowing. And I'm just going
Boy.
to end my turn. I'm not going to attack because he's probably has a freezing trap out. But I'll also be surprised if he doesn't have kill command in his hand. Maybe he's just playing like he does to try and make us attack. I don't know.
Maybe.
But either way, yeah, there it is. Kind of
Okay,
figured.
see,
Kill-
down goes the Velen. Okay, so it must be freezing one of these two because of the way he continues to play. Yeah.
Would you have done that? Taken out the Velen? I guess so.
Yeah, he kind of had to.
All right.
Bring it
well,
back. We can
we
do
drew
20.
a shadow word pain, shadow word pain, shadow word death for 5 or more. So that doesn't help. How much? Well, we can lots of ways we could clear this, but it seems like kind of a waste to get rid of one little doggy.
So he's used 1 kill command, and
Yes.
he just doesn't have much damage that he could possibly deal. He's not at the turn for Tundra Rhino plus Spellstone yet. So I think, honestly, if we wanted to just play Lyra here and hero power our health up to 20, then next turn, either he's forced to kill the Lyra, or we can freeze the Lyra and then potentially connect with the Malagos.
All right, so that's what we do. We play Lyra.
We are
and
just trying to control the pace of this game.
Yep. Okay.
And at some point, we'll play Spirit Lash and go up to 30 and basically start the game all over.
He swung into the Lyra. He played an animal companion. He baited arrow
Okay.
for the Lyra. Okay. Alright.
Ooh.
It's got a
Gargoyle.
5/5 now. We drew the Gilded Gargoyle. Is this Spirit Lash?
I think this is a great Spirit Lash turn.
Okay. Hey, I got it right. To all minions, but I can Eternal Servitude my stuff. A friendly minion. Okay. Well, here goes. Yeah, no, we don't do anything else. Just Spirit Lash.
Do we play any of this?
I think we're going to play the Gargoyle.
Yeah.
We want to try to get that Freezing Trap out of there. And right now we're looking for Zarek's Cloning Gallery, Spellstones, Shadow Visions, Second Eternal Servitude, or basically any of the big minions in our deck, because we can play them all now. We're up to 9 mana. Everything in our deck is unlocked.
Mass hysteria.
Hmm.
Oh, we got lots of stuff to take care of his minions.
He's never going to be hitting us in the face, basically, but it might still take us a little bit to actually win the game.
Yes. Okay, so I guess we just go ahead and try and attack with this gargoyle and see what happens.
I think that's fine.
Attack and explosive trap.
We won't know if it was freezing.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay.
No.
You could also, if you want to, potentially go for a Lyra turn at some point. I don't think we have to right now, but if we continue drawing, cards that don't allow us to develop on the board, we do have that bit of value generation with the Eternal Servitude.
Okay, but don't do it yet.
I don't think we need to right now.
All right, heal my face for 2 because I can. And
Yeah. He'll pass. Turn 9.
You are the control deck in this scenario. You want to have all the cards, and you want to force the opponent to have to continue advancing onto the board, and eventually they should run out of resources. Deathstalker Rexar changes the game, though. He makes it so that the hunter will never legitimately run out of stuff to play, and we can certainly beat that, but it is going to require some power turns.
Yeah, there's the other Mind Blast.
we got another Mind Blast.
Huh.
Well, we might be at the point where you want to look for Lyra.
Is this Eternal Servitude time?
I think it might be.
Okay. You think? Okay, well, I'm going to go
I
for
know. Yeah, our hand is just...
Nope.
Oh, we don't even... Oh, that's right. We had a Radiant in the pool as well. Well, that's okay. Why don't we go ahead and
We
take...
got Prophet Melon and Malagos, though, too. So we didn't get Lyra, unfortunately.
Let's take Prophet Velen,
Okay.
because
Prophet
we
Melon.
can attack and proc Freezing Trap with it.
Gotcha. So, yeah, we could do 20, but I guess we don't do that right now. We wait.
Yes, I think we
heal.
can wait. And if we now draw our second, if we draw the Velen from our deck, if we draw Zarek's Cloning Gallery, if we draw Spellstone, if we draw Eternal Servitude, you probably have lethal.
Deadly Shot to kill the Valen. And a stealth poisonous zombies. Oh, Flappy Bird.
That's annoying.
Oh.
Yeah, we draw Radiant Elemental. Oh boy, this Flappy Bird could get really annoying.
We could. We have a lot of removal, but we also do need to be careful not to jump the gun with it, I think.
Right.
You don't want it to get out of hand, but we have recovery. So I think...
We just pass?
I might just pass.
Okay.
If he plays something else, maybe we can Mass Hysteria.
Okay.
Turn 10
Let me
pass.
recap. Yeah, turn 10 pass. I got Radiant Elemental, 2 Mind Blasts, Coin, Mass Hysteria twice. Yeah, both Mind Blasts, Shadow Word Death, a Psychic Scream, and a Spirit Lash. And we are waiting for some other cards.
Yeah.
Flappy Bird away!
We need minions.
He gets the Wind Fury.
That's okay.
3 help.
It's a 5/8. But it's not stealth anymore. Woohoo!
He's got a bunch.
Oh. All kinds of stuff.
What was all that? What do you mean by all kinds of stuff?
2 secrets
Our
and
audio listeners are going, what do you mean?
So 5/8 is what the Flappy Bird is now after doing 10 damage to us. Still has the poison. And then he played 2 secrets and the Spellstone. So there's 4 3/3s on top of that.
Is this a Mass Hysteria move?
So with Mass Hysteria, it's very unlikely that the Flappy Bird dies. We could Psychic Scream.
Scream it away.
We got Shadow Word Pain. for Flappy Bird. Or
Yeah,
Death.
I suppose we could Shadow Word Death the Vicious Fledgling, and then Mass Hysteria and play the Radiant Elemental, but that would trigger Rat Trap if he's playing Rat Trap. Very unlikely that he is, but it's something
I've seen
to
it.
consider. Psychic Scream would put a bunch of wolves in his deck, which he doesn't really want to draw.
Seems like the play.
I think I
Psychic
like the Scream
Scream?
here.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we
Psychic-
can play the Radiant Elemental.
Play Radiant Elemental. Oh, Snipe.
Not Snipe. Okay.
Oh, not Snipe. Okay.
What was
Yes.
it? Nothing.
Very likely we're looking at like Freezing Trap, Wandering Monster, and Venom Strike Trap. Those are probably the 3 most common secrets you're going to be seeing.
Hmm. Let's see. He is
14
making
cards.
beasts and making more beasts and making more beasts.
Alright,
Nine Shield, Poisonous, Death Rattle, out of death. It's an Arthas.
It's a complicated Arthas.
Okay, that's what we were looking for.
All right, and that
Spellstone.
thing is the Lesser Diamond Spellstone.
Now,
Resurrect
well,
2 friendly minions.
What's in there right now?
Do we have 4 spells we can play to
There's
upgrade
Lyra.
again? We don't.
There's a Radiant.
Mhm.
Is there Valen and a Malygos, right?
Yes, we have 4 minions in there right now.
We just
But
play
we
it?
need to. We need to work on upgrading it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's our win condition.
I got you.
That's what's going to win us the game with the Mind Blasts. But we need to work on upgrading it. This Arthas is not really a threat. He's a 3/3. It's not really scary. I think. What do you think about this, Fred? Do you think we want to just Hero Power pass, or would you want to attack with the Radiant?
I'm not sure actually here. Huh.
I would be tempted to attack to try and hero power. We're on the fuse. I guess I'll just wait.
Just wait.
Okay.
Yeah, just pass.
How do we?
I don't think we have to trigger the secrets right now.
We gotta. You want to upgrade the stone to let him do a couple more things, I guess.
I at the very least want it to have 3 minions.
Mm-hmm.
But if it has 4, then we're guaranteed Velen and Malygos right now. And then with Double Mind Blast, you win the game. Wow, he's
Zul'jin.
going for Zul'jin. That's a horrible play.
Right now? Okay, so he has explosive. Kill command goes to the Arthas.
Wow.
Deadly shot. Wolves. Companion. Hound. Baited arrow takes out the Arthas. Whoa.
And he doesn't
freezing.
even get the overkill out of it.
Another freezing and explosive and the wandering monster. So those are the 3 secrets. That was terrible. Okay.
You draw holy.
That was
Holy
very,
Smite.
very bad.
Yeah.
So for the hunter against our priest deck, Deathstalker Rexar is their entire engine.
Yes.
Zul'jin is designed to win you the game the turn after you play it, whereas Deathstalker Rexar
I know.
is what the hunter needs to grind us out. So
Yep.
I could never play Zul'jin after Rexar. I'm not. I'd be like, it's like, and break glass in case of
So,
emergency move.
At the
Yeah,
Zul'jin, he
yeah.
had the 3 secrets. Didn't even get them, and he has
So
3 wolves and a Leok.
Got 4
Hysteria.
wolves in a Leok, but we're going to mass hysteria this.
Hysteria all day long.
Goodbye, people. See
We
ya.
got 2 of them, so mass hysteria should clear the board. You know?
Yes, it will.
Fantastic.
And
We play the
can heal
Grizzly, or there's
ourselves.
no need to do that yet.
I think we could play it.
Well,
Okay,
does it mess up our resurrection stuff? Before
Only if he kills it.
he could.
We don't have to attack with it. But if you want to play it safer, we can always just Hero Power pass.
Hero power pass. I've gotten used to that.
We
All
may
right,
have to
here
throw
we
away
go.
a card next turn. Is the only thing, but that's fine.
Well,
Okay.
no.
We're going to be doing a lot of Hero Power passing with this deck.
Here's a wolf that he got from the
He-
Scream. Oh, and the hero power to our face from the Zul'jin. Oh,
We draw
servitude.
eternal
Servitude.
servitude.
Okay.
Need to
Okay, so this turn, we could play the Witchwood Grizzly and Eternal Servitude to try to stick a Velen or a Malagos, assuming that he can't kill it.
All right, which one do you want, Velen or Malagos? Malagos? Be
Well,
harder
he's
to
got
kill?
higher health. Probably go with that.
All right, Malagos it is.
He's a dragon too.
Do
Our
we
Spellstone
wholly?
needs 2 more spells to upgrade.
We can wholly smite the wolf. Oof, that's good of an
We
overkill.
might need the
Yeah.
20, 40. He's at 35.
Okay.
Coin Lash? Is that what you're thinking?
No, I'm not thinking Coin Lash. I'm thinking maybe Coin Hero Power.
Oh, Coin Hero Power. Huh?
Coin Hero Power face.
Power.
And then next turn, we just need to play 1 more spell for the Spellstone to be to be at least partially upgraded.
Mm-hmm.
But with the Malagos on board, we only need to find Velen with the Spellstone.
Hunter's Mark
That's fine.
on the 3-1. I mean 3-8. He said a 3-1. He hero powers it down and then hits us in the face for 3, and that was it. That's weird.
We draw
Okay,
Mass
so-
Hysteria.
Our opponent's at 35. If we Holy Smite him for 7, then he goes down to 28. And then if we Lesser Diamond Spellstone and we hit Malagos or Velen, we win the game. So I think this is the turn
I
we
like
go
that
for
plan. Okay, Holy Smite his face.
it. Holy Smite his face.
So you're just going for it.
Yeah.
There is a failure rate here, but it's very low.
Spellstone.
Resurrect.
Yep, play that Spellstone.
Play the Spellstone.
And you hit the Velen, so now you can deal 40 damage to him.
And
Wow.
Boom. Boom.
Goodbye.
There you go.
Thank you.
Even if you had gotten Gargoyle, Radiant Elemental, and Lyra there, which were your 3 worst minions, you were still in a very good position.
Good.
If you'd hit Velen and Malagos, obviously that's lethal with a single Mind Blast. If you hit just one of them, you can Mind Blast his face and then wait because you don't have the mana to play both without a Radiant Elemental. There were a lot of permutations there of which 3 minions that you get, seeing as I think there were 6 minions in your pool, but it worked
Got
out.
the right ones.
Got the good ones.
Wow.
Thank you so much for doing this, Miss Cora. I believe we've
Absolutely.
managed to capitalize on your time a good hour and a half here. Glad that second game went quicker. We wouldn't have gotten this many in.
Yeah, I know. It's that's
But,
Man, that deck-
Yeah,
that deck is crazy though. That's a lot of.
It is a lot of fun.
I gotta do. Let me think. Yeah, I don't know. I would lose track because I'm doing other stuff a lot of times when I'm playing. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not
I
an
would
easy
think
one to play.
I should try it because Priest is the only one I don't have like many wins. I got everything else golden. Priest, I haven't even finished leveling up yet.
Oh,
So, with this current meta, yeah, I should bring this up and play it somewhere. I could probably find a streamer that's probably playing it at the same time because there is a lot to remember with this one. But thanks again. Still having the experience of playing it, and I'm sure our listeners will appreciate it. You know better how to play against it when you come up against it and know more, what to expect possibly, which is why we try and cover as many decks as we can here.
if you want to see examples of a streamer playing the deck at a very high level, go watch VODs of Osmodai.
Okay.
He's hit legend, or he's at rank 1 legend with the deck several times, and
Okay.
he is, I would say, the person that you want to reference if you're trying to learn how to play the deck.
All right. Well, I've found somebody else. I need to add to my Twitch
Yep.
list.
Asmodai. Yeah.
I will do that
Green
later in the
hat.
day.
Green hat. Yeah.
That's him.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess we will bring this live episode, this 4th year anniversary show, into a close. Thanks again to Miss Cora for joining us, and keeping up the tradition. Thank you so much. We will bother you again about this in a year.
I'm looking forward to it. Congratulations again on 4 incredible years of the show, guys. It's been a pleasure being able to join you a little bit here along the way for your journey.
Yes, and
I'm hoping for 4 more years.
And it's been fun watching you progress and being able to go, hey, I know her.
Yeah.
So, and getting to see you at the Dream Hacks and everything is really cool. So, we'll be, we say hi to each other and whatnot when we run into each other and in game every once in a while. And like I said, hopefully we'll see you next November. Or definitely going to be watching you on March.
WSOE.
And since we're wrapping this up, do you want to hit your little pluggy plugs there, Cora, and mention that particular tournament maybe, and anything else you'd like the folks to know?
Well, you guys can follow me on Twitter at songbird_HS. You can follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/songbird_Cora. If you're watching competitive Hearthstone, you'll very likely see me over the next couple of months. But I would check out the Twitch Rivals Arena Hearthstone event on when is it, on Tuesday?
Yes.
Not that I'm casting it or anything, because there's been no official announcement and I cannot say. But I would watch it. You should watch that. It's gonna be a good time.
Yes.
Will do.
I saw the ad on the client, so it's apparently a big one. So
it's gonna be fun.
Yep.
Something different for sure.
Oh, put that on the list. That sounds like a good idea. Okay. So I will thank everybody for tuning in today here, and all the people there with the live stream.
Yes.
I can see the landing lights, the flaps are down, the wheels are down, and we are coming in for a nice landing after an awesomely smooth flight. Thank you everybody for showing up who watched this, and everybody who's downloading it. I hope you all like this. Felt like we had a really groovy conversation at the beginning of the show, so I think if you've made it this far, I think hopefully you got a lot out of that. I really enjoyed it. You can find us at HearthCoach.net, the website. You can find links for Cora and all of our other shenanigans. I am working. I guess Fred got the video today. I was going to try and record 2 myself, but it just doesn't cooperate with the camera and trying to do all that. So I couldn't run OBS and actually be on camera with everybody. So, but that video from today's show will be going up, and I worked on my settings and stuff. So going forward, as I record the shows, I'll have my deck tracker stuff, and the sounds will be better and all that. The last one was a little rough, but I got formats worked out and tweaked some settings here and there. So that's, again, we'll be continuing with that going forward. Our YouTube page is HearthCoach Podcast. So mark that down. It's not HearthCoach. There's some Russian guy with like one video up.
Oh no.
That has just plain HearthCoach. So that confused me a little bit. I thought maybe we got hacked or something for a moment until I figured out that our website is HearthCoach Podcast.
It's like our email, yeah. It's like our email.
That's right. Our email at hearthcoachpodcast@gmail.com. And if you follow us on Twitter and Facebook, you'll get a little announcement right when we get ready to go live with cool events like this.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows, we try and do stuff like this every once in a while. So follow us and get a little notification as when we decide to go live and cool things like this. And I keep prattling on because I think I've covered all the basic information, partner.
You got it all.
So from here, I'm just going to thank Cora one last time for coming on the show and tell everybody good luck getting the legend.
Good luck, everybody.